Welcome back to English Vision, the podcast where your English becomes clearer, stronger, and more confident every single day. Today, we're diving into a topic you use all the time without even realizing it: habits. Good habits, bad habits, funny habits, daily habits. Everything you do on repeat shapes your life, and it shapes your English too.
Absolutely. And today, we're going to help you talk about your habits in natural, conversational English so you can express yourself just like a native speaker. And hey, if you're listening right now, stay with us to the end because we've got some fun examples and mini dialogues you can repeat out loud to build real speaking confidence. So don't be shy. Repeat after us whenever you hear a phrase you like.
Let's start with something simple: how to introduce a habit. One way is with I usually or I always. For example, I usually drink tea in the morning. Repeat after me. I usually drink tea in the morning.
Nice and smooth. Another expression you can use is I tend to, which means it's something you often do, but not 100% of the time. For example, I tend to stay up late on weekends. Go ahead, repeat after me. I tend to stay up late on weekends.
And here's a fun one. I have a habit of. This is great for describing something you do regularly, especially quirky or unique habits, like I have a habit of talking to my plants. Repeat that one too if you like it.
Let's try a mini dialogue so you can hear these in action. Emma, ask me about my morning habits.
Sure. So, Robert, what do you usually do when you wake up?
I usually stretch, then I make coffee.
That sounds so peaceful, and honestly, habits like that can set the tone for your whole day. And speaking of tone, when you're learning English, creating little language habits can make a huge difference too. For example, saying a few phrases out loud every morning helps train your mouth and ears to work together more naturally. Try this one with me. I start my day with a positive habit. Nice and slow, repeat after me again. I start my day with a positive habit.
And positive habits don't have to be big things. Sometimes the smallest habits are the most powerful, like reading one English paragraph a day or listening to a short podcast on your way to work. You can describe these simple routines using phrases like, every day I make sure to, or I try to. For example, every day I make sure to read something in English. Give it a try. Every day, I make sure to read something in English.
Another useful structure is I'm in the habit of, which is slightly more formal but still very natural. For example, I'm in the habit of reviewing vocabulary before bed. Say it with me. I'm in the habit of reviewing vocabulary before bed.
And of course, not all habits are perfect ones, right? Sometimes we have habits we want to change, and English has great expressions for that too. One phrase is, I'm trying to break the habit of, like I'm trying to break the habit of checking my phone too often. Repeat that one if it feels relatable, which it probably does for most of us.
Here's a short mini dialogue to help the phrases stick. Do you have any habits you want to change?
Yeah, I'm trying to break the habit of drinking too much coffee.
Oh, I'm in the habit of drinking tea instead. Talking about changing habits is such a great way to connect with people because everyone has something they're working on. And when you're practicing English, conversations like this help you sound more natural and open, which is exactly what makes communication feel real and human. Try this phrase with me. I'm working on improving my daily habits. One more time, smooth and confident. I'm working on improving my daily habits.
Another helpful expression is, I've gotten into the habit of, which is perfect for talking about new routines you've recently started. For example, I've gotten into the habit of going for a walk every evening. Go ahead and repeat it if you want to add a useful phrase to your English toolkit. What's nice about this structure is that it feels casual and conversational, something you would hear among friends, coworkers, or classmates.
And here's something fun. Sometimes you can talk about habits using simple present tense because the simple present is the tense of routines and repeated actions. For example, I read before bed, I exercise in the morning, or I call my mom every weekend. These simple sentences are incredibly powerful when you want to describe your lifestyle clearly. Repeat after me. I read before bed. I exercise in the morning. I call my mom every weekend.
To make your conversations even more dynamic, you can also ask questions about habits using structures like "Do you usually?" or "Are you in the habit of?" These questions invite longer answers and keep conversations flowing naturally. Try saying, "Do you usually wake up early?" And another one, "Are you in the habit of cooking at home?"
Here's a quick example to bring these ideas together. Do you usually cook dinner after work?
I usually do, but lately I've gotten into the habit of ordering takeout.
It's interesting how habits can shift depending on our schedules or even our moods. And talking about those changes is a great way to make your English sound alive and flexible. There's a really natural phrase for this. Lately, I've been, which works beautifully for describing recent patterns in your life. For example, lately, I've been reading more in the evenings. Try saying it with me. Lately, I've been reading more in the evenings.
That structure is actually part of the present perfect continuous, which is wonderful for expressing habits that are recent and ongoing. Another example is, lately I've been trying to cook healthier meals. Feel free to repeat it out loud to make it stick. Using this tense shows that you're not just describing a routine, but also giving a little story behind it, your effort, your improvement, your intentions.
You can also talk about habits you had in the past but don't anymore, using I used to. For example, I used to stay up really late, but now I sleep earlier. That phrase is incredibly common in real conversation, so it's worth practicing. Repeat after me. I used to stay up really late, but now I sleep earlier. It's like inviting someone into your personal journey, which makes conversations deeper and more meaningful.
And when you want to mention something that happened repeatedly in the past, but in a nostalgic or storytelling way, you can use I would. For example, when I was a kid, I would spend hours playing outside. This structure adds a storytelling flavor that English speakers love. Try it with me. When I was a kid, I would spend hours playing outside.
Here's a short exchange to blend everything together. Did you have any habits as a child that you don't have now?
Yeah, I used to draw every single day, and I would get lost in it for hours.
Childhood habits always reveal so much about who we were and sometimes even who we're becoming. And sharing them adds warmth and personality to your conversations in English. When you open up about your routines, it gives the other person permission to open up too, which makes the interaction feel natural and comfortable. Try this phrase with me. I used to have habits that shaped my personality. Say it again with confidence. I used to have habits that shaped my personality.
Another way to make your English richer is by describing how your habits make you feel. You can say things like, "This habit helps me," or "This habit makes me feel," which adds emotion and clarity. For example, "This habit helps me stay calm in the morning," or "This habit makes me feel more organized." Repeat after me. This habit helps me stay calm. And another, "This habit makes me feel more organized." These little emotional details make your English sound thoughtful and expressive.
And if you ever want to encourage someone else to build a habit, you can use phrases like, you should try, or it might help if you. For example, you should try writing in English for 5 minutes a day, or it might help if you listen to English while you walk. Try this one with me. You should try adding small English habits to your day.
When you talk about habits you admire in others, you can say things like, "I like the way you always," or "I notice you tend to," which sounds friendly and supportive. For example, "I like the way you always stay positive," or "I notice you tend to stay focused even when you're busy." These are great for deeper conversations and building connections.
Quick mini dialogue time to bring everything together naturally. Do you have a habit that helps you stay motivated?
Yeah, I try to start my day with something small that makes me feel productive, like tidying my desk or reading a short paragraph in English.
Starting the day with something productive really can change your whole mindset, and sharing these small routines makes conversations feel real and relatable, which is great for practicing natural English. Try this phrase with me. I start with a small habit that boosts my mood. Repeat it smoothly. I start with a small habit that boosts my mood.
Another way to talk about habits is by explaining why they matter to you, which helps you sound more fluent and thoughtful. You can say things like, this habit keeps me, or this habit allows me to. For example, this habit keeps me focused during the day, or this habit allows me to relax after work. Repeat after me. This habit keeps me focused. And another one, this habit allows me to relax.
It's also useful to describe habits that you know aren't very helpful, but they're hard to stop. You can say, I have a bad habit of, or I tend to, when talking about something you want to improve. For example, I have a bad habit of procrastinating, or I tend to forget to drink enough water. Try this with me. I have a bad habit of procrastinating.
And when you're trying to replace an old habit with a better one, you can use the structure, I'm trying to replace with this. For example, I'm trying to replace scrolling on my phone with reading a few pages of a book. It's a very natural way to express progress and intention in English. Repeat after me. I'm trying to replace old habits with better ones.
You can also describe habits connected to different parts of your day. Morning habits, work habits, study habits, evening habits, and each of these gives you more vocabulary to talk about your lifestyle. For example, in the morning, I take a few minutes to stretch. Or, during work, I make a habit of checking my to-do list. Or, in the evening, I wind down by listening to music. Repeat these if you want to practice rhythm and clarity.
Here's another mini dialogue to help you hear these structures in a natural flow. Do you have any habits that help you stay focused while you study?
Yeah, I always review my notes before starting anything new because it helps my brain warm up. Warming up your brain is such a smart strategy, and routines like that make your English practice smoother too because they create consistency and confidence over time. Try this phrase with me. I build small habits to stay consistent. Say it again with steady rhythm. I build small habits to stay consistent.
Another great way to talk about habits is by describing how often you do something using adverbs of frequency, like rarely, sometimes, often, usually, and always. These little words add detail and help people understand your lifestyle better. For example, I rarely skip breakfast. I sometimes write in a journal, or I always drink water before bed. Repeat after me. I often practice English in the evening.
Describing the difficulty or ease of a habit is also helpful in conversation. You can say things like, it's easy for me to, or it's hard for me to express your relationship with the habit. For example, it's easy for me to wake up early, but it's hard for me to stay organized. Repeat this one. It's hard for me to stay organized. These expressions sound natural and show your personality through language.
You can also share habits connected to goals you're working toward. For example, I'm building a habit to improve my health, or I'm creating a habit to learn English faster. Try this phrase with me. I'm building habits that support my goals. Saying it out loud helps your brain connect meaning with sound, which boosts fluency.
And it's helpful to talk about the triggers that start habits too. You can say things like, when I feel stressed, I tend to, or when I finish dinner, I usually. These phrases explain when or why your habits happen, adding depth to your conversation. For example, when I feel stressed, I tend to take a short walk to clear my mind. Repeat that if you want to practice expressing cause and effect.
Quick example to bring it together. When you're tired, do you have a habit that helps you recharge?
Yeah, I usually take a short break and listen to something relaxing because it helps me reset quickly. Resetting quickly is so important, especially when you're juggling a busy schedule, and talking about these little routines helps you express your daily life in clear, natural English. Try this phrase with me. I have small habits that keep me balanced. One more time, softly and confidently. I have small habits that keep me balanced.
Another angle you can use is talking about habits you admire in general, not just your own. You can say, I admire people who, or I like when someone, to describe qualities you appreciate in others. For example, I admire people who stay calm under pressure, or I like when someone keeps a positive attitude. Repeat after me. I admire people who stick to good habits.
And when you want to talk about habits you want to build in the future, you can use phrases like, I want to start, or I'm planning to form a habit of. For example, I want to start waking up early, or I'm planning to form a habit of reviewing English at night. Try saying, I'm planning to form a habit of practicing English daily. It feels motivating, doesn't it? These structures show intention and commitment, which sound very natural in conversations about self-improvement.
You can also share habits with time markers to give even more detail. For example, every Monday or on weekends I usually, or before bed I tend to. These markers paint a clear picture for the listener and make your English sound vivid and organized. Repeat after me. Before bed, I tend to review new vocabulary.
And sometimes, talking about how habits change over time makes conversations deeper and more relatable. You can say things like, I didn't used to, or I never used to show how your lifestyle has transformed. For example, I never used to enjoy reading, but now it's one of my favorite habits. Try that with me. I never used to enjoy reading.
Tiny example to wrap this section naturally. Have your habits changed a lot over the years?
Definitely. I've replaced a lot of old routines with healthier ones, and it's made a huge difference. Healthier routines always bring a sense of clarity, and being able to describe those changes in English helps you tell your story with more depth and confidence. Try this phrase with me. My habits have changed for the better. Say it again with a smooth flow. My habits have changed for the better.
Another useful structure is talking about the impact of habits using phrases like because of this habit or thanks to this habit. These expressions show cause and effect in a natural way. For example, thanks to this habit, I feel more energetic, or because of this habit, I stay more organized during the week. Repeat after me. Thanks to this habit, I feel more energetic.
You can also express pride or satisfaction in your habits using phrases like, I'm proud of or I'm happy that. For example, I'm proud of keeping a daily reading habit, or I'm happy that I've stayed consistent with my English practice. Try this one. I'm proud of building good habits. Saying what you're proud of is a great way to strengthen your speaking skills and your mindset at the same time.
When talking about habits with others, sometimes you want to show curiosity or interest. You can use phrases like, I've always wondered, or I'm curious if. For example, I'm curious if you have a morning routine that motivates you, or I've always wondered what habits help people stay productive. Repeat after me. I'm curious about your daily habits.
Another helpful expression is, one habit I want to keep is, which shows long-term intention. For example, one habit I want to keep is practicing English every evening. Try saying, one habit I want to keep is staying positive. It's simple, but it expresses so much about intention and mindset.
And describing the environment around your habits can make your conversations even richer. For example, I light a candle when I study because it helps me focus. Or, I play soft music while I write because it keeps me relaxed. These small details bring imagery into your English and make your speech more vivid. Try one with me. I play soft music while I work.
Short mini dialogue to round out this section smoothly. What's one habit that keeps you feeling grounded?
Taking a quiet moment in the morning always helps me feel centered before the day begins.
Feeling centered at the start of the day truly sets the tone, and being able to talk about these routines in English makes your conversations feel meaningful and effortless. Try this phrase with me. My habits help me stay grounded every day. Say it one more time with intention. My habits help me stay grounded every day.
Another useful way to talk about habits is by mentioning routines connected to specific emotions, because this makes your English sound personal and expressive. You can say things like, when I feel overwhelmed, I usually, or when I feel inspired, I tend to. For example, when I feel overwhelmed, I usually clean my space to reset my mind. Repeat after me. When I feel overwhelmed, I usually take a moment to breathe.
You can also describe habits that help you grow mentally or emotionally. Phrases like, I make it a habit to, or I try to remind myself to, are great for this. For example, I make it a habit to stay grateful, or I try to remind myself to focus on progress, not perfection. Try saying this with me. I make it a habit to stay positive.
Another angle is describing habits that make learning English easier, because these are helpful for building real progress. For example, I repeat new words aloud. I listen to English while walking, or I practice speaking even when I'm alone. Say this with me. I practice small English habits every day.
You can also talk about habits because it helps you connect with others on a deeper level, because routines reveal personality, goals, and growth. When you share the habits you're proud of or the ones you're trying to improve, you show honesty and openness, qualities that make conversations warmer and more genuine. Try this phrase with me. My habits show who I am becoming.
And when you want to wrap up a conversation about habits, you can use friendly reflective phrases like, I'm still learning, or I'm improving little by little, which sound natural and relatable. For example, I'm improving little by little every day. Repeat it if it inspires you. I'm improving little by little every day.
Before we close, here's a final mini dialogue to bring everything together in a smooth, natural flow. What habit do you want to focus on next?
I want to keep building small daily routines that help me stay calm, focused, and motivated.
And that is the beauty of talking about habits. They show your journey, your growth, and your personality in every language, especially English. Keep practicing these phrases, keep repeating after us, and keep adding small English habits to your daily life, because they really do transform your confidence over time.
If you enjoyed this episode of English Vision, the podcast, make sure you subscribe for more inspiring, practical, and fun English learning conversations every week.
Thanks for being here with us. Keep growing your English, and we'll see you in the next episode. Subscribe and bye.